everyone, and welcome back to Aussie's Young Learning Emporium. In today's video, we're going to be looking at factorization. Now, this is going to be a series of videos, and I'm going to make this as short as possible. Hopefully, it's going to be under an hour to watch the whole playlist. I will be linking the next videos in the description box below, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, for this series, for this tutorial, you do not need to know anything much. It is from the beginner's point of view, so if you don't know what factors are, what multiples are, don't worry, we're gonna go over it. So in this video, we're going to be going over factors and factors and multiples, and that's all for this video. And then in the next video, we're gonna look at prime factorization. And then in the next one, we're going to look at factorization of linear expressions. Then in the next one, we're going to look at factorization of quadratics. And then in the next one, we're going to look at questions, followed by some homework for you guys. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos in this series. And let's try to make these as short as possible. So let's get into it. Starting off with factors. Now, think of the word factorization, really. You can notice that in this word, there is the word factor in it. So it would be great if we knew what factor meant, which would help us understand what factorization is. So factors are numbers that divide another number fully. Now, it doesn't have to make sense. This definition is not that great. So let me just show you through examples. So let's take an example. 12 is a factor of 24 because 24 divided by 12 is 2, which is an integer. So that means, basically what I'm trying to say over here is that if we had a number like 24, right? And if we divide it by 12, that is going to give us a 2. And hey, that is an integer, alright? So that is an integer. And since when we divided 24, our main number, let's just call 24 our A and 12 our B. When we divided 24 or A by B, which is our 12, we got an integer value. Let's just call it our I, our integer. Actually, let's just call it C. So when we divide A by B and you get C, which is an integer, that means that B is a factor of A. Now, another thing to note over here is that B is only a factor of 24 if the C is an integer. And basically, since C is an integer, and if we know some rearranging, you know how we can do, so 24 over 12 is equal to 2. And if we send 12 up there, and bring 2 down. So basically what we're doing is multiply both sides by 12. Okay, we get 24 is equal to 2 times 12. And now let's divide both sides by 2. So we get 24 divided by 2 is equal to 12. So we just did a little bit of rearranging. So what we did was send 12 up there and we brought the 2 down. So that means that we're again in this form of A, B, and C. So that means that our 2, so B, is a factor of A. And therefore, 2 is a factor of 24, and 12 is a factor of 12. Okay? Of 24. Okay? So basically what we really figured out was how factors really work and what factors really are. So I hope that made sense, and now we can figure out the factors. But now, look closely at this little bit. Okay, and now let's move on to the next bit. Just remember this little bit, just draw some attention. We've written it out as a product. So 24 is written out as a product of two numbers. and these two numbers are factors. So if you can write 24 is equal to A times B times C dot dot dot, and all of these are integers, then those are factors. Okay, those are all factors of 24, because every time we rearrange it into something like this, we will be able to get an integer value on this side, and we will be able to get a factor over here. Okay, so that's basically what factors are. Now let's move on to another example of factors. So 4 is a factor of 36 because 36 divided by 4 is 9, which is an integer. So 4 and 9 are also factors of 36 because if we write this out, then we get 36 is equal to 9 times 4, and both of these are integers, so both of these are factors. Why? Because we can rearrange and we would get that A over B is equal to C form. Okay, so that's how we know that they are factors. Now 3 is not a factor of 16 because 16 divided by 3 is 5.3, which is not an integer, which is not an integer, and that is why 3 is not a factor of 16. However, so we know that 16 divided by 3 is 5.3. But if we took another number like 15 and we divided that by 3, we would get 5. So here, 3 is a factor of 15, but it's not a factor of 16. Okay? So that is how factors work. Now, let's look at multiples really quickly. Now, since we know what factors are, multiples are going to be easy, just a piece of cake. So, numbers which are produced after multiplying one with another. Not very good of a definition, but let's understand through an example because it's much easier to visualize stuff. So, our example says that 36 is a multiple of 4 because 4 times 9 is 36. Now remember when I told you keep in mind that 12 times 2 is equal to 24? I was saying this because we are multiplying two numbers. We are multiplying numbers together to get a product. So this is our product. And our product is a multiple of both of these numbers. So if you have a factor and you multiply it with another factor of a number, you will get the number, right? Now, I'm not saying that you multiply 6 times 2 because they're both factors of 24. I'm just saying you multiply it sensibly, obviously. You multiply it in a way so that you get that number. So when you get that number, that means that this and this are factors of that number, and also this number is going to be a multiple of these two factors. Alright, so let's look at another example. We said 36 is a multiple of 4 because 4 times 9 is 36. So that should be clear. It's 36, and that means this and this, these are factors, right? And this is our multiple. This is our multiple. This is our product or multiple. Okay, now let's look at another example. So our example says 24 is a multiple of 6 because 6 times 4 is 24. Pretty simple. 24 is our, again, I did that. 24 is our multiple and 6 and 4 are our factors. So pretty simple. But 30 is not a multiple of 4. Why? Because 4 times any integer, let's say x, that is not equal to 30. We just can't make that happen. Okay, that's why 30 is not a multiple of 4. Now, let me just draw your attention to something. Let's think about multiplication tables. We're thinking about multiplication tables. Let's look at the multiplication table of 4, or 2 actually. So 2, we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and so on. Now, what multiplication table tells us is that this is the factor. This is the factor. And all of these multiples. They are multiples of that factor. So 2 is a factor of all of these, and 2 is the factor. And these are the multiples. Same with any times table. So that's basically how we think about multiples and factors. And that's why you had to remember all those times tables so that you could find the factors of numbers really easily, and that is going to assist our factorization later on. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next part of this series, which is gonna be on prime factorization. Until then, take care. Bye bye.